Welcome to the EQ Video Tip. I'm your host, Eric Forsetter. It's great to have you back again. We've got an amazing show as always today. We're going to focus on a few different things today, but before we get into that, let's go through and review the goals of EQ Video Tip. Welcome back. Ever have a bad day and just you're beating yourself up and you don't know how to get through it? We're going to talk about things to start telling yourself when you have a bad day. And now we've all had bad days, especially with the pandemic and all that's going on in this world today. And our author here, Mark Chernoff, has 10 great tips that we're going to consolidate for you to figure out how to get through those tough days and not to beat yourself up. Because let's face it, as the author says, Batman doesn't sit at home and not put on his Batman suit and instead browse social media when there's a bad day out there. Instead, he figures out a way to go out there and fight the villain and get past it. If he didn't, that would be an awful story. But we tend to do that to ourselves and put ourselves in this position where we think that we can't succeed because we're having a bad day. So instead, we're going to focus on areas and ways to improve ourselves when a bad day happens and make that story into an amazing one. I suck. I'm not good enough. I'm going to fail. These are things that run through our mind all the time when we're trying to do something but we're having a bad day. Or maybe it's, I'll just take a look at social media. The first 3 tips to get over this are very simple. So the first thing to remember is to allow yourself to be a beginner. No one starts off being an expert. It's just like building a house. You don't put the roof on first, you build it brick by brick. The second piece that Mark mentions to us is to breathe and stop running away. When you see a problem, when you see a challenge, it's okay to take a moment and know you are where you're supposed to be. Understand that moment, and every step is an experience to make things better. Now, the third part is, and this is really key, use disappointments and failures to motivate yourself. You can hear the story of many athletes that will talk about they lost a championship game or they messed up, and they use that to motivate themselves as opposed to annoy them. And be mindful of it. You can control it in a way that responds to your mind and your body. When you start thinking that way, it'll help you out. So the first 3 pieces: allow yourself to be a beginner, breathe, don't run away, and of course, use disappointment to motivate yourself going forward. Our next set of tips. You are not a product of circumstance. Rather, you're a product of decisions regarding the circumstances that you're in. And when you think about it, it's about deciding to not let those circumstances frustrate you and get you down. So make sure you do that because you decide your own future. And another part of that is don't compare yourself to others. Just because Sally's been promoted doesn't mean that you need to be promoted in the same amount of time, or that Joe has accomplished these many things at his stage in life. It doesn't matter. Focus on yourself and what you control because you're taking the step within your journey. The other piece, in a culture right now that expects instant results, remember, things take time and you have to have patience. Patience is an expression of confidence, and while it may take time, it also allows you to accept things and give you serenity so that you can have faith in your own ability. So take the time to remember, you're not a product of circumstance. You need to temper your expectations relative to others, have patience as you go through this, and don't expect those instant results. Our last tips. Remember that you're facing obstacles just like everybody else, and it's much better to be exhausted going through all these obstacles than to have a life of doing absolutely nothing. While it sounds silly, it's actually something that will make you better and stronger. And your struggle, remember, is a journey. It's a story. And that chapter in the story is one piece of a long book. And it's not just one small chapter. Remember, it's a whole tale. We have to make that tale ours because being rejected from something means you're being directed towards something else. And that is something that you have to remember, that every little piece is part of your journey as you grow and mature. Big changes happen gradually in small steps. If we focus on the little pieces to build that up, we will ultimately end up where we want to be and not have that disappointment. Focus on those things, and hopefully these tips from our author will help you out. Thanks again for watching today. We'll put those 10 tips up there right now for you to take a look at. Hopefully you can use them, mold them into your own to help you get through a bad day. So that concludes our EQ video tip for today. Try incorporating some of these tips into your daily routine. But remember, use what works best for you and personalize it for yourself. Thank you always to our great research team for providing us with some great tips today. As always on EQ Video Tip, we want to end with gratitude. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Here are some resources that you can use if you want more information on EQ going forward. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you.